world is now anxious to see the increasingly heated relations between Russia and Ukraine, which are feared to lead to the outbreak of war. Moreover, recently, Russia massively placed its heavy equipment at the border. Reporting from Indomilitar.com, one of the things that made a scene a few days ago was the appearance of MiG-31K fighters at the Kaliningrad Chkalovsk Naval Air Base. Kaliningrad Chkalovsk is a Russian territory separated from the mainland, where Kaliningrad is opposite from Lithuania and Poland, two splinter countries of the Soviet Union that are now members of NATO. What made the news was the appearance of an unusual MiG-31K. Apart from the base, the MiG-31K that landed in the Baltic region was carrying something the US feared, namely a ballistic missile, the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal air-launched ballistic missile. The Kh-47M2 Kinzhal is not just any air-launched ballistic missile. What is worried about is the hypersonic speed of this missile, which is in the Mach 10, Mach 12 range, 12,250 14,701 km per hour, so it will be difficult to intercept. In addition, the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal is capable of carrying a 500 kg warhead, the options of which include a nuclear warhead or high explosive fragmentation. Actually, there is another thing that worries NATO countries, where the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal's range reaches more than 2,000 km, which means major cities such as Paris, London, and Rome are within launch range. Even if launched from a bomber like the Tu-22M3, the range of this missile can reach 3,000 km. Historically, the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal, which entered production in 2017, was designed to hit US and NATO warships that threaten Russia's strategic missile systems and to destroy NATO missile defense systems, such as those in Romania. The Kh-47M2 Kinzhal from the start was designed to deal with the MIM-104 Patriot and Terminal High Altitude Area Defense (THAAD) and Aegis combat systems. Kh-47M2 Kinzhal is powered by a solid propellant rocket. This missile can fly to an altitude of 20,000 meters by relying on INS guidance from GLONASS, remote control and optical homing system. The level of accuracy is said to reach 1 meter. Besides being able to be launched from MiG-31K and Tu-22M3M bombers can carry 4 missiles, the Kh-47M2 Kinzhal is reportedly being prepared to be able to be launched from the Su-57 Felon stealth fighter jet. Deploy new missile system. In December, Russia deployed a secret new weapon described as a Star Wars missile by a number of UK-based publications. Defense sources there told Russia's state news agency TASS that the S-550 missile defense system had entered combat duty. The weapon is thought to be capable of destroying targets hundreds of miles above the Earth, such as low-orbit satellites, nuclear warheads, and orbital hypersonic weapons. Reports suggest that the weapon was tested in November, and the Kremlin has also carried out a series of war games that NATO leaders fear in preparation for the conflict in Ukraine. At the time, a Russian Defense Ministry source told TASS, the S-550 air defense system has successfully completed state trials. The first S-550 brigade has entered combat duty. They describe the technology as superior to the capabilities of the West and China. The reason is because the technology is a completely new and unrivaled strategic missile defense system. In Russia, the creation of a space defense system capable of intercepting the most difficult targets, satellites as well as ballistic missiles, has been going on for more than 10 years. This combat system has long been known as Naval. Specialists assume that this is precisely the system that managed to destroy a satellite target during its first combat test on November 15. an unnamed new missile system filmed at the Shagan test site in Kazakhstan in 2020. Last week, the Russian military was seen training for chemical warfare during exercises in the southern military district, which includes annexed Crimea. The country is also preparing the Iskander-M missile complex, which is undergoing combat readiness checks, in the western military district, which borders Ukraine. The nuclear-capable Iskander, named Stone in NATO reports, is a short-range, mobile ballistic missile with multiple warheads. U.S. sends 3,000 troops. The Pentagon is sending another 3,000 combat troops to Poland to join the 1,700 already gathered there in a demonstration of the United States' commitment to its NATO allies. The move was made over concerns about the prospect of Russia invading Ukraine, a senior defense official said Friday. The additional troops will leave their post at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, over the next few days and will be in Poland early next week, according to defense officials who provided the information under ground rules set by the Pentagon. The troops were the remaining elements of the 82nd Airborne Division's Infantry Brigade. Their mission is to train and provide deterrence, but not to engage in combat in Ukraine. The announcement came shortly after Jake Sullivan, President Joe Biden's national security advisor, issued a public warning to all American citizens in Ukraine to leave the country as soon as possible. Sullivan said Russian President Vladimir Putin could give an order to launch an invasion of Ukraine anytime now. In addition to the U.S. troops deployed to Poland, about 1,000 U.S. troops based in Germany were transferred to Romania in a similar security assurance mission for a NATO ally. Also, 300 soldiers from the headquarters unit of the 18th Airborne Corps have arrived in Germany, led by Lieutenant General Michael E. Kurilla. U.S. troops will train with host nation forces, but not enter Ukraine for any purpose. The U.S. already has about 80,000 troops across Europe in permanent stations and rotating deployments.